Would you please welcome Mr. James Sexton? There's a little thing there, mate.
Oh, thanks for having me back up to Queensland again. I thought after the last trip I mightn't have got invite, but that was just something happened in a taxi. Now, I'm in real estate, like most of the people here, and I love real estate. It is just the best thing on earth you could ever do. 80% of everyone's entire wealth is held by real estate, and we've got a responsibility to our communities and to our people to actually help them get wealthy, underpin their family values and everything else. One of the things that helped me out is that I've got a broad spectrum of friends and contacts, and whenever I start thinking our job's a bit tough, I just remember mate Fred. Now Fred's a guy that's an arsehole remover, and what he does, he works every day, goes to work, and he has to remove 30,000 pieces of chicken that we don't want to eat. And he sits there in this assembly line, all the chooks going past, and he removes the arsehole. And you think to yourself, how could you get ahead? How could you be positive? How could you want to do that? Well, he branched out and got himself another company. And for a while there, he was actually selling chicken calamari. Big at KFC for a while. But now everyone's going organic. It's dropped off a bit. Now, one of the things we like to do is everyone in real estate, all this stuff on database, this, that, and everything else, you know, it's all crap. All you've got to do is get out there in your community and let them know you're a living, breathing human being with a personality to pulse and you want to help them. That's what we do. Mount Barker's a little country town. I better start flicking on some photos, it'll be all gone. Basically, that's our office there on the building. We bought it years ago. It was going to go to auction, the government was selling it off. Local hooker office. Took it off the market, not enough interest. We thought, are you kidding? We slipped an offer under their door, decided to put it back to... We bought that building on 5,000 square metres, 3 road frontages, and another old heritage building we just moved along a bit, and basically waited 3 years for the zoning to come good, then we rebuilt it. Patience in real estate is critical. But there's 35,000 cars go past there now. The reason other people didn't buy that building is because it's too far out of Mount Barker. It was actually 95 metres from the commercial zone. And guess what? We got the commercial zone changed. Now, one of the things, and we do a lot of commercial property, we look at things, we look at plans, and we love that coming up. We've just got to make sure that you've got a bit of idea of judgment. I'm not sure up here in Queensland, we talk acres, talk hectares, whether you relate to all that. Now, a friend of mine, not far from there, he had a little farm and he had to pick up a horse, and he said to his wife to pick up the trailer, and she said, which trailer, which big one? He said, well, just fit a horse. He said, well, how big's a horse? She said, well, just measure it with that. I don't know, I've got a tape measure. We'll use a hanky. So he measured the horse with a hanky. So just get a rough idea. Your horse is the same as ours. We just want to know how many hankies do you think a horse is? Just so I've got an idea of your spatial awareness and linear distance. Being in real estate, you'll all be pretty good. Roughly, how many hankies in a horse? 25, 12, 14. Okay, I'll split the difference. I'll call it 12. Yeah, I'll ignore the 40 because obviously you're from far north Queensland. Now, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right about now, the guys from air are starting to think, bloody hell, what have we got into? No one knows anything. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So in your mind, you think a horse is that big. No wonder your ads read the way they do on houses. So I'm going to have to speak a bit slower and explain a bit more, but let's get going. There's our office. We bought that, had nothing really in mind, just went along. We're happy to pay actually $650,000 for it on the day. Undertaker came up to us. I suppose he just looked like I was a future customer, but... And he just said, look, I don't want another undertaker here. You guys serious? We said, yes. He said, look, if you need a bit extra, we'll lend you $100,000, interest-free for as long as you want, because that's the way we basically work in the country. Anyway, we picked up $460,000 because no one else bid, which was nice. So that was 16 years ago now. It's gone up a wee tad since then. The big building on the right, one we built, that was cheap as chips. That turned out to be quite a nice little investment. Put something in there. Now, to get that building working, not enough car park. Oh, there's another pretty picture. Go back one. Basically, we had to shift 32,000 cubic metres of dirt to make the car parks work. Everything you do that comes out good, there's a problem. And you've got to work your way through the problem. We teed up everyone that had holes around the as close as possible to our building. And we went around, everyone had big holes, wanted to build up, said to them all, we'll have X amount of tonne, you have a machine there, we'll get into it. We had quotes of 180,000, 200,000 to shift it. We did it ourselves with our own contractors. Took us 5 days and cost us $35,000 because we had it all teed up, all organised. And I didn't have Facebook then. Inside the building was pretty rough. The squatters had been in there, had been trashed, there's asbestos, everything was wrong with it that you'd never ever want to buy. So we bought it and renovated it. And basically that's the inside of it. Not a real good photo, but anyway, it's come up nice, put some open fires in. Big front foyer, we use that quite a bit. Looks good at night. Once again, 34,000 cars going past. That archway there, we actually put that in ourselves, looked more historic. Just to make it easier for people to get in and out. That's Mount Barker, 9,000 people. Not a lot of people in Mount Barker. A lot of little country towns all around there. Harndorf is a town 5 minutes away, most people have heard of. This area out through here is Lang Walker's big subdivisions, a lot of that area. I've been working on that for 23 years, getting all that land into rezoned development. We deal with the government, we deal with everyone else. It's interesting that just down here, my daughter and her son-in-law bought a property there quite a few years back, about 6, 7 years ago. That was hellish and lucky. Because it is now, there's a massive big interconnector road coming through and they've got a neighbourhood shopping centre that they've got contracted for $8 million on that property. Now that's just luck, isn't it? Wouldn't occur that maybe if you think about something, and this is what most real estate agents do, you run around, you run late, you spend all your time putting ads in, spending all your time listening to dealing with vendors. You don't think about your own real estate. You've got to think about your own real estate. You'll not make yourself wealthy selling real estate. You'll make yourself wealthy by owning real estate. And that's really what you have to focus on. Look for opportunities. Look for what you can buy. There was a site in the town that was flooded. It was no good. Everything else, we bought it and we put together. We rang up Woolworths, said we'd like to put a shopping centre there. They told us to F off. That started the negotiation because we don't take things personally. That was actual words. Tough nut, I'll tell you. And anyway, cut a long story short, there it is. We put a 6-foot drain, we fixed the creek, we remedied, and we solved their problems. And there it is. It's trading at $1 million a week at the moment. We'd never built one before, didn't know what we were doing. We engaged people that knew what they were doing. They're about $385 an hour, so you don't spend much time with them. But the simple fact is that was one of Woolworths' best. It's their best trading per square metre for quite a while. They see it as a flagship store. It's won all these awards simply because we just spoke to the people shopping. We removed every obstacle. You can go from there to your car without a lump, without a bump, with everything. And yet it's in 3 flood zoning areas, but we sorted it out. Just get a problem, fix it. If you have a problem, then there's an opportunity to increase your profits because people don't like problems, so that's hard, I'll walk away. Lang Walker, biggest property developer in Australia, massive developer. He started off by dealing with the toughest, shittiest little sites in Sydney and rectifying them. So problems are where the money is. There's just a piece of land over at Nairn, another little country town. There's a school here, and there was just a vacant spot, and there's houses and houses. So we thought sooner or later they'll draw a line across. So when the opportunity came, we bought that piece of land. There's already 40 titles in it. We then spoke to council. We worked over and got another 9 hectares in. Our land peaked at $1 million a hectare undeveloped. It's dropped back to about 550, 600 now. We've got another 88 blocks over the other side and we've got another 120 acres sitting alongside of it. That sat there for donkey's years and everyone drove past it. No one thought, gee, there's an opportunity. Think of the opportunity. Look at your area. Get out there and have a look. They declared an economic zone, little bit of out in the middle of nowhere. Big W put a massive big store in. Ingham's put a $45 million hatchery in. And about 12 months before that, we bought some rural land there at 80 cents a square metre. And that little thing at the back is base mining camps. They got 2,500 mining dongas all over Australia, and they are employing 350 people. So why didn't someone else buy it? Because Monado's too far out. Look what's going on around. If you've got some of the biggest companies in Australia investing $45 million, about maybe $400 million, about that, you've got to think to yourself, well, shit, they know what they're doing. Look for opportunities for yourself or your clients. Otherwise, time will go past and you'll say, shit, that would have been a good buy. Get in and get them early. Rough time from an average buy to good buy is 7 years. We bought some dogs and 7 years later we look smart. We've done the reverse too. Now, that's a little country town where I grew up. I'm not sure why that photo's there, but PA obviously liked that photo. Now, the reason being it's an ugly shit of a little town, but it's actually, that's a very good photo. If you're going to do something, do it well. That's the bloke that took us up in the helicopter to get that photo. Now, that's actually an interesting one. That's just a big mine. Now, we took that. We had me going past. It was a freak bit of weather, and he had $65,000 worth of cameras. And I said, well, quick, get a photo of that. The reason being is that they are a big employer. They're big everything else. It's probably the best photograph of Hillgrove's mine ever. We took the photograph, we sent it off to them, and now we're in dialogue. There's some future listings of people coming up because we're their friend. So they did say that you're meant to seek permission before you fly over because of blasting. And I said, it's all right. I was talking to a guy in the pub last night. He said he wasn't blasting. Anyway, this chap here, just met him on Facebook. This is the way social media works in this crazy, crazy way. Met him on Facebook, got him, saw his photographs of the Barossa Valley, liked them, got him to come do some for us because he is a kick-ass photographer. And just recently, he's been flown over to America to photograph the Hollywood sign. Because an Australian from Adelaide has actually bought the marketing rights to Hollywood sign because no one else thought of buying it because they didn't ask. Remember, always ask. And presto, so he's a mate of mine now, and we're getting some really seriously good photographs that no one else can touch. Plus, he's feeding me other good photographs. Plus, he does all the official photography for Henskys, for Penfolds, for Rockfords. So he can take me into all their cellars and just taste it. He took us up there. He took us up there for a photographic exhibition of vines over 125 years old. They're the oldest vines in the world because, as everyone knows, Europe was wiped out by phylloxera back in the 1870s. But interesting, it's amazing who you can meet. Everyone's got a story. Find out their story. When you find out their story, that's when they start to trust you. He, born in Australia, went back to Serbia, came out here at 23 as a professional soccer player in Western Sydney, played there, met his wife, who was a Serbian refugee coming out here. Her parents and grandparents' house got blown up in Serbia, nothing left there. He's out here building a start for his family. But you show someone like that a little bit of consideration and treat them nice, gee whiz, do they repay you. Now, wife and I went to Paris the other year, actually a Chelsea Flower Show. We just had to drop into Paris to buy some croissants. And we wanted to get a really, really good picture of a nice French chateau. And we actually got one in Mount Barker. And it was just, once again, we were actually in the helicopter, and we got him to buzz the town and get some interesting. I wasn't in it this time, hence he go a little bit higher. So actually, that is an incredible building that no one's seen from that angle. So we put that out in our marketing. We've given it to the people that own the building, and it has won us huge kudos by getting such quality photographs and everything else. I'm also chairman of Business Mount Barker, and that's a business group that, and once again, it's involved in the community, getting into it. And what Business Mount Barker was when we started our Woolworths shopping centre, Coles and some other guys sued us. We spent $43,000 in 3 days in the Supreme Court, absolutely hammering each other like you wouldn't believe. There was injunctions against the minister to change zoning. In commercial real estate, it does get pretty tough. So anyway, once that's sorted out and we got open, I went to the owner of the big other shopping centre, Harry Perks. He's got a heap of them through Queensland, up through here. He's got them in Coolum. He's got about $1 billion of them around Australia. And we just had a beer, had a chat, and said, look, rather than fight, let's just get on, let's do this. Got the council together. So we came up with this idea, we'd raise a separate rate. Everyone would pay a second lot of council rates. They'd give it to a select committee of business owners, and we would spend that money for the benefit of the town as a whole in the CBD. Sounds like a crazy idea to go to people and say pay a second lot of rates. Well, we talked 270 businesses into doing it. We do it. I'm the chairman. We've got 8 people on our committee. It's not a democratic committee. They're all hand-picked. He owns that property. They own that property. 2 from the council. Brilliantly effective. We've started rebranding and remarketing our town. We've spent $200,000 on incredible, massive big entrance open sign with state-of-the-art LED lighting. And it's working very, very well. Once again, just sit down with people face-to-face and talk it out and sort it out. Do a deal. Love big signage. Absolutely love it. That thing's about 40 foot long on a main road. Big vineyard we're selling. And the main reason we got that listing was because this chap here is a footy coach of the guy that owns it, his son. And he said, if you don't give me the listing, I won't put your kid in the team. You may jest, but he's a tough coach, I tell you. Just another good prominent site. Now, this is just an interesting one. I put it on there, one, because it's the new colours. I did love the black for that short, brief period they were there, but hey, we change. That was one where the chap rang me up, the office, said, oh, I want a bit of an appraisal. And I knew the guy, he's 78, he's an old earth mover, tough as all hell. And I thought, why would he come in? So I just went straight out and saw him straight away. And he said, look, I'd like an appraisal, I'd like this and I'd like that. And I just said to him, do you want to appraise or do you want to sell it? And he said, actually, I just want to sell it. And I said, good, how much do you want? And he was a Dutchman, so he had a very good idea of value. And so I said, how much do you want? And he said, I'd like about 400 a square metre. And I said, well, that's near enough. I was thinking 300, but what the hell, it's only $1, $100. So we just listed up, put it on the market, and away we went. Straight across from him lives the new high-tech commercial agent for our opposition, just past him as the other agent. They would have driven past. They'd had 10 days preparing some wonderful report that a 78-year-old grader driver from the far north wouldn't read. So I just said, do you want to sell your house? He said, yes. Don't overcomplicate it. He doesn't need to know the graphs and tens of the average person buying and shopping in the Adelaide Hills. He just wants it sold. We put a sign up and people have been crawling all over it ever since. That's an interesting one. It's a while back. And this particular one, the reason I put it there is don't ever limit your sales by stopping at the property you got on the market. Got one property listed. It was a good one. The bloke next door, I'd sold it to him 16 years before, so I thought, I got one sign up, might as well add another one. So I went and saw him, hey, do you want to sell? I'm selling this one. Oh, yeah, may as well. So I put that one on, threw it in the two together, got a pretty big operator, and this was Thomas Foods, T&R for you blokes, you'd know them, largest exporters of basically lamb into America. 2,500 employees, biggest private family company in Australia. And they bought that and while I had Chris and Darren there, I just said, see that old house and that one over there? I said, do you want that too? That's a bit of history, a bit of character. And they said, oh shit, is he selling? And I said, oh, he could be. Do you want me to find out? Anyway, cut a long story short, went up, do you want to sell your house? No, not really. What, have got a good price? Oh, I might. How much is a good price? I'd want this, I'd want that. Got an offer. Next thing you know, there's another $2 million worth of sale. $7 million worth of real estate because one property came on the market and I spoke to the two neighbours. Always talk to neighbours. Always. Both those two neighbours think I'm the best thing since sliced bread because they never really had to go through much emotion. They just had a really good offer put in front of them. We always just sell the one there when the person next door. You sell a house and the people next door have got a similar house. You've got three people that missed out. They might like the street because they've been looking at that house. Why not go to the people next door and say, hey, do you want to sell? I've got three buyers missed out. We do that sort of stuff all the time. We're pretty simple in a funny sort of way. These guys are good. They turnover last year was $1.4 billion. Never shuts his phone off. I rang him once. He's in New York. It was 1:30 in the morning. And I said, oh, sorry for waking and all that. And I said to his dad, I said, look, sorry about that. He said, oh, don't worry about that. Bloody hell, if he can't take working up in the middle of the night when he's running a business, he's not serious. And that's their attitude. I learned a very, very good thing off them because the dad used to be a jackaroo. He just said, simple saying, the past is history. Forget about it. The future's exciting. Get on with it. And that's their philosophy to everything. They bought a meatworks when they really didn't. They were livestock buyers and sellers, big way. They bought a meatworks off the Chinese. The Chinese couldn't make any money out of it. And they've turned it into an absolute blitz. It's just brilliant what they're doing with it. I've got a feeling they bought some big ones up here in Queensland too. That's just a good old heritage property, good sign. Twice before I tried to sell that sucker and I couldn't do it. Had problems with it each time. And this time I thought, right. And went away from the way I used to do it and everything else. Jo's one of our new sales ladies. She got in, she sold it in 4 weeks. And it just comes down to you can't get every one of them, but get someone else in the office to do it if you need a bit of help. Okay, here we go. Every now and then you don't feel like prospecting. You just got to remember this. I constantly give this to our salespeople. Basically, how you going to get listings, you don't prospect. How you prospect is what it's all about. Prospecting is not the door knocking, it's not this, it's not that. We say to someone, they're getting flat, you're not getting much, go out and have a coffee, go to a restaurant, go out and have lunch, because you'll be seeing people, meeting people. Unless you're a really bad eater, or really, you don't talk to anyone, you sit in a corner with a bucket over your head, there's your opportunity to get listings and do it that way. Because every time you go out there, you've only got to meet people and it starts happening. That's what it's all about. Here's where the interesting stuff starts. Okay, along came the internet, along came thing. Now that's basically what it's all about. That Facebook stuff is just crazy shit. It just sends you nuts. However, you've got to get on and you've got to enjoy it and you've got to make your friends and clients enjoy it. And the people who are advising us is basically it's a horse holding a cattle on a boat. If you think that makes sense, then look at the people who are giving us advice because no one knows what's going on. Companies in America are spending billions of dollars to buy something that 3 months later they've gone dead. Why do people like certain things? It's actually not my cat. Yeah. Oh, yeah, we've got a horse, yeah. But the simple fact is, what you've got to do, you've got to get out. Don't try and understand it. Don't have to understand it. I don't know how a jet turbine works. I still go up in planes. Someone said, you know, are you scared about going on a boat if you can't swim? Because I can't swim, never got around to learning. Wave my arms in a funny Irish manner. And I said, look, I go in planes and I can't fly, so it doesn't really bother me. That's our advisor. Every time you're getting advice, think of that picture, because that is who's giving us advice on how to run the social media. No one knows really what it's all about. But what you've got to do, you've got to get on there and have some fun with it and really enjoy it. You look at that, you think, why would someone put up a photo of an old barn, which is in the middle of nowhere in 14-inch rainfall? It's because I saw on Facebook this lady was looking for something to paint once. And I just tossed it out there and said, oh, here, Karen, would you like to paint this old barn? Next thing, I've got 5 artists all contacting me, all wanting to know where it is. It's a lovely thing to paint, apparently. Now, we've sold that particular farmer. We sold 18 properties for him around that. We realigned the boundary in that old barn. It's in the middle of nowhere. Hadn't been used for 30 years. So they're out there and they think I know so much because I've shared this wonderful, unique property with them that's out in the back blocks. And 2 of those people have given us listings because I took the time and effort to find them something to paint. And it's little things like that is how Facebook works. I don't understand it. I'm like that bloody horse. I've got a crazy look in my eye, but I'm trying stuff. Now, that's a nice dairy we just listed. Nathan Watts, one of my sales guys. He's been with us 10 years. That's an $8 million property just got on the market. One of the last dairies left in the hills, 800 acres, magnificent water supply, typical good country. But that one there, the fastest growing Facebook site in Australia is a site called Station Photos. It's worth having a look at, and all it is, someone at Mount Isa started by putting photos from station properties on there. Then they invited other stations and other farms to put photos on. So all of a sudden, everyone's putting photos of people falling off horses, getting bogged in tractors, all that stuff, and everyone loves it. Spread right around the world, and they got 20,000 people on there within 5 months. So I thought if there's 20,000 people looking at it, I better get some shit from the Adelaide Hills on there. So that's the photo I put on there. I said, old dairy farm in Adelaide Hills. And I think I got 185 likes. Now, that cost me nothing, did nothing. However, now the people in the station country, I'm regularly putting photos on of the Adelaide Hills, and they're starting to realise that if they want to know about the Adelaide Hills, it's James Sexton. He's got good photos. And I haven't even got into the wineries yet. Old ruins. Breaks your heart to see them like that, doesn't it? I grew up in one like that, but wasn't quite as good as that. Little country town. You put a photo like that out, you'll get absolutely every architect, everyone else approaches you. They want to know, where is it? Can I buy it? I've got a client who's got 2,300 acres, 23 titles, and 11 of those old ruins. He won't rent them out. He won't let anyone buy them. He won't let them fix them up because he doesn't want a dog near his sheep. Everyone's got, needless to say, not on Facebook. But anyway, the simple fact is, by putting those photos out, I then find other old ones, and it promotes business. You're doing something that promotes business from another angle. That's the actual cottage we grew up in. An 1845 Cornish miner's cottage, rough as guts. We went in there, there's no floorboards, no ceiling, and really, yeah, it's a rugged life, I can tell you, but it was fun. Sometimes you have a tough day. You load the cart wrong and the donkey's not working. That happens in real estate. It happens all the time. They all do things. It's just not right. That's a photo taken in Cairns. It's your grandfather loading up that, wasn't it, Tony? Yeah. And what happens is you can blame the donkey and you can tell the donkey and send it memos, but the donkey's not going anywhere. You've got to change your loading capacity and how you're doing it. And we all have these days, and you've just got to fix it. And when you do and you get it right, away you go. But the simple fact is, you get no good blaming the donkey if you're the one that load the cart. And if you have a day like that, just move on, because sometimes it gets better, but not always. You're sitting at your desk, it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you've got 12 hours in front of you, and you feel a wee bit bogged down. Best thing to do is go home, have a cup of tea or a red wine, come back the next day, because you're not going to get anywhere, because those silly buggers didn't use a long enough chain to get themselves out. That'd have to be Queensland, we don't get that much rain. But I've got a good mate in a farm that sent me that, and but the simple fact is it happens. You get bogged, you don't stop farming because it happens. Because you get it right, next day, different approach, suddenly you're soaring with the birds again and looking after that canola. Once again, that photo's from station. I've got no idea where they grow canola in station country, but it was a nice photo, so I pinched it. Always pinch and borrow rather than buy. When the opportunity comes, grab it. You've got to be fast in this tech age, the internet, everything else. Don't stuff around. I was at a client's property. There's a fair bit of shit going on. It's a big property, and he just bought a bin of apples in, and just that light with an iPhone, I just clicked off a bin of apples, that nice scenery in behind there. The next week, we listed that vineyard in behind there, and that is just a nice photo we put out in this particular area, the Piccadilly Valley. The Piccadilly Valley, we're Petaluma, and you like drinking their Petaluma wine, so that's where they come from. Well, we've just, in working with the receiver, one of the last farmers in there's he's got 11 titles spread over about 110 acres, and the 3-acre block in there will cost you over $500,000, and we're just working on those now, about to hit the market with them all. Put something on there that's interesting. Can anyone in the room tell me what that machine is? $5 if you can tell me what it is. Go on, Tony, you must have seen one of these. You've been doing it more than anyone else today. No? Isn't that amazing? So everyone's here thinking what it is. $5, everyone tells you what it is. Basically, it's a leak picker. That's the machine that picks the leaks. You've been out having leaks every 5 minutes or taking phone calls. So the simple thing is, and we put that out there and we just said to people, there's the leak picker of the Piccadilly Valley. It's a pretty interesting machine. Runs along, sweeps them all up, cuts them off, pops them in, and they're one of the biggest leek growers in Australia. So never seen one before. Looks like for polishing sand shoes, but don't do it. It really hurts your leg. There's a giant beetroot. Not many people have seen a giant beetroot. And if you want to get young kids and families and people that are on Facebook to have something to talk about, right, home for sale, not likely, put a giant beetroot on there and all the jokes and everything else to come through. Once again, in came the beetroots in the thing. Make it interesting for people. Do something a bit different. None of my opposition had a photo of the giant beetroot that week. I did. And that's why we get called into listings, because I know where to get the giant beetroot from. I've got a great recipe for borscht and all those things, and my wife does a good roast beetroot. But simple fact is, in our area, everything is going back to small farms, organic, farmers markets. All that thing is really popular. I drive an electric car with an extra V6 in it as well, a bit more power, but it has got 2 electric motors. It really is do what your market wants. I don't know what they want in Cairns umbrella. If everyone else fails, put a photo of yourself with a chook. This is for Tony Williamson, because he said he's always admiring chickens on my Facebook page. Well, basically, I used to be a chook farmer. And lo and behold, our kids went away. I had to go there, and all the chooks had got out, and I'm running around chasing these bloody chooks to put them back in. So I thought, stuff it, I'll take a photo and send it through to the kids saying your chooks got out. And I got more comments on that than I did on anything witty or clever I wrote. Put a bit of stuff in, making yourself look stupid, like how do you catch a chook, and I told them how to do that. And the other thing, get a woolly calf. A woolly calf will get you more listings than anything else, because you may laugh in the front row from Cairns, but the simple fact is everyone loves a little baby Scottish Highland cow. They are cute, they're fluffy. You got to show that you care about people, you got a heart and a soul and everything else. I could do what every other land agent does on Facebook, put a photo of themselves drinking wine, or I put a fluffy calf. You know who's going to win the business. There you go. You want something impressive? And that's the one to get people's attention. If I'm at a listing presentation, they're talking about this, they're talking about that, they're talking about kids, and I say, you know what? I like a simple thing. Get the kids outside, get rid of the iPads, just throw them on a bull and let them ride around. And once again, that is surprisingly effective when you show that photo to them at a listing presentation. Once again, station photos. And you think to yourself that Australia's getting too commercialised. You think to yourself, we're living in the cities too much. But when you see a kid riding a Brahman bull, you think to yourself, no, we're still a bit of hope. Now, I got to meet the Governor-General of South Australia, and he was very happy about that. I was just telling him there how to run the state. But what happened, we got involved in a sculpture symposium and bring international sculptures into the district. Everything to do with the community we're involved in. Our idea of prospecting, which is before I got sidetracked with a girl riding a bull, was simply the fact is get in the community, be at the front of it, don't stand at the back, be at the front taking the photos and making it happen. And this group of artists got together, came to us, they wanted $250,000 to put 8 sculptures in the district. Would we give them some money? As chair of businessman Barker, saw the opportunity, and everyone else was saying no, no, no. I said, yes, we'll do it. Not only that, but I'll go and speak at some of the other areas and councils and explain why. So I got straight on the bandwagon, got there. I got 4 of them approved by various areas. We got a bit of competition from the town up the hill called Stirling. I just went to there when they opened it up, and I just stepped forward and said, Mount Barker business community will immediately donate one straight away, even if Sterling don't want to. Immediately they came in behind, hook, line and sinker, and they put one in as well. Simple fact is, you get involved in that, we got so much public exposure, so much everything. I'm opening the sculpture. Each one of them costs the community $30,000. International artists from all over the world. Our lady is from Switzerland. The patron now, and there's 2 more cycles to run, is the Governor General. So we've taken the Governor House, brought my wife and daughter along, youngest daughter. So we're there having a good time. The photographer who took that photo is the man that yesterday, when I'm walking through the Brisbane Mall, and just bought 3 fresh bananas, sends me on Facebook. They got a banana vending machine from Mackay, and Scotty didn't even know about it. I don't know, keep up with it. And selling bananas in the vending machine, and it's one of those quirky things. You do something for them, they do something. So that photo got spread all around in the advertiser, in the messengers, in colour magazines. It all happens. But you've got to get out in front of it and make it happen. You drive it, you make it happen. Like the gentleman from R said, how do you pronounce it? Air. Yeah, I must remember that. So, what it is, you drive it, you pedal it, you make it happen in your little sphere of influence. And I just like to have a fairly big sphere of influence. Now, Michael Davern got lost and dropped into office one day, and because I'm fairly passionate about the Adelaide Hills region, I'm involved in everything, they painted 20 local identities and people out there. They got a couple of mayors and a few winemakers, but I managed to get a gig because they had like a Mallee bull, and they thought it'd be easy to paint. And anyway, I got a painting. He just happened to be there the day we picked it up. So we took a photo, put it on Facebook of us standing either side, and everyone came back to us. They thought Michael presented me with a painting of me for winning an award. They thought, what a great company Remax is. There's something to think about, Michael. But it's get it out there. When you get some a bit of success, something happening, make use of it. That the 20 paintings are in the Hyson Gallery. It went really well. Now, there's a lady in the room who's a friend of the artist that painted that. I met her earlier. Still here? Somewhere? No. Okay, get involved. Jazz Festival. We've got 200 people in our office, put a band on, invited all our clients, friends. It's amazing how much kudos you get from that. Just keep it happening. Tour Down Under. Greipel's one of the guys out in the front. That's the same as a Tour de France, only we don't serve croissants, we serve pies and pasties. Juan Dugan from Boulder, Colorado, Remax. His son was there. I caught up with him in the morning. He's America's top bike rider. Unfortunately, he came off his bike at Aldgate and broke his leg and his arm, but he's back and he's riding, so he's okay. But anyway, that's there, so we're out in the front of it. Get involved, got our clients. We went along. Out the front, there's a wife and 3 of the grandkids, and we just lined chairs up for all our customers, everyone else right there to get a tour, and for 18 seconds, they're all mesmerised as the road passed, because that's what happens. But get involved and make it happen. We spent an hour and a half getting ready for 18 seconds, but everyone lingered on. They went in and 2 listings. Just get the effort. Put it in. Do it. Biggest morning tea. Raising money for cancer. We put it on, and we got all our family bakes. Oh, not mine. Mine are all dead pretty well, but John's not that good at baker. He's good on Facebook, though. And my sisters can't bake. They're bloody hopeless. But Julie's side of the family, they're really good cooks. Really good cooks. And a lot of our staff are really good cooks. First thing we ask people when they come to work for us, can you cook? And cause that's how you get a figure like this. Anyway, we put it on. We've got about 150 people, raise over $1,000. We invite the mayor, the council, we invite every prominent landowner, we invite all our opposition's key clients and bring them along. And yeah, we stick it up them. That's the way we are in the country. And it is incredibly effective listening tool. You could do that in a small scale. You give a biggest morning tea with 3 people. You wouldn't raise much money, but have just as much fun. But there's some really good tucker there, I can tell you. Now, that's Julie in the middle, our youngest daughter, and that's Julie's mum. At 80 years of age, she was out there doing the dishes, doing that, keeping it all happening. A couple of my staff said, I better go and help your mother-in-law. I said, no, she doesn't like it. She likes to do it on her own. Very particular about doing dishes. Later on, Mary said, gee, I was surprised no one helped me. And then I told her about the little joke. And there's only 120 people there she washed the dishes for. And we do like a sense of humour in our family. And she spoke to me a couple of days later. And my staff took a bit longer than that. But you've got to have a bit of fun. And nothing like watching an 80-year-old mother will wash 120 dishes. So, no, she takes it very well. She takes it very well. But Trudy on my right's a PA that organised these pictures. Her mate Joe's our sales lady, sold the other one. Both of them made special things, the bake-off. Everyone in the office had to judge who was the best, and that way they got a special prize. Everyone's a salesperson. They're very astute. They gave them an equal draw. Now, we do things with little businesses starting off. And this is a really, really big thing that's worked well for us. Little business starting off. These guys, his head chef in Adelaide, wanted to start up his own catering company. So we invited him into our office and we had a paella night. He's a Spanish caterer. And what we said was, come in and we'll bring people. We invited people. We had a big paella night to help their business going. Thumped it out on Facebook, did everything else. He cooked enough there. We had heaps of people out the back. Out the front office, we had cricket going at the time. And we do this stuff. We have clients along. People are coming in to buy houses, sell houses. The cricket's on the go, and they just join in. And it just shows we're normal, down to earth. Everything we do is about family, about community. There's no clever, tricky shit about us. What you see is what we get. Sometimes I wear rubber boots, sometimes I don't. And that's exactly as it is. And that's how you're going to drive your business. Be straight up front, do it properly, look after people, get involved in the community and make it happen. As it turned out, that little buggy, his little Scotsman, he was hard to get out. I hit him with 2 bouncers before I got him under. From that, we actually got picked up. They picked up a 400 person catering job and 2 more jobs on the go. Do you think that they'll recommend us when it comes to giving their friend? When these catering's got 400 people there, the odd person might talk about selling real estate. That sure as hell beats knocking on doors like I used to do in the Jebman days. Okie doke, there's Julie and a little granddaughter Tilly. It was a school function, school fete. Everything to do with schools I go to. I don't go there, rush there and take phone calls. I go there, I sit, I take time and I talk because it's full of parents and kids. Who's most likely to swap houses? Parents with kids. They have more kids do that, they need more housing. Get to these functions, spend the time and be there. All our salespeople do. They're masters. I've got one lady, I think she only comes to work 1 hour a week. The rest of the time she's out in the community, but she sells a lot. Sometimes when you're a bit old and staid and you haven't quite got the mind right and your kids are telling you you've got to get your website looking better, so we say, oh, well, you can do it. So I gave it to Louise. Okay, you know all about websites. You're young. Fix it. So she did. She went out and she got a Canadian company who is tied up and does a lot of the Remax work over there. And we took out the top. Is that a score of 15 or is that a time? So I'm either 15 minutes in or 15 minutes to go. So anyway, and she took out the top website in the state. So do not be frightened to let go of the reins and let other people have a crack at it. You're listening, Mr. Mackay and Mr. Yeah, let go, relax, let the others have a go. Christmas carols, not a bad event. Got involved in that. We helped organise it. We helped do everything else. It worked pretty well. We got 4,000 people there. And to be the centre of attention, they said, you want to play a 44-gallon drum mic'd up to an electric microphone to do the William Tell Overture with the mayor and the head of the Uniting Church. And I said, shit, I wouldn't miss an opportunity like that. So there I am in front of 4,000 people with no musical skill whatsoever. But to this day, people remember how well I hit that 44-gallon drum. It was actually very clever. The musician, the guy that set up was very good. Bring the grandkids up, get a photo of that. That goes on their Facebook, goes out everywhere. And once again, you're in the centre of attention. Christmas shows, we put them at home. We're a family business. Everyone comes. We invite contractors. We invite good clients. And we just have a good, nice, relaxing day, eating, drinking, doing all that. That's my garden, by the way. We're very keen gardeners, so we write gardening blogs and stuff like that. There's a family. That's why you do it all. You basically are doing this for your family, and if you're separating work from family, you're missing the boat. The really good rock-solid families, and you blokes from here would know, out in the community, in the rural side of it, the kids grow up into the job, into the family. It's why so many people go on. And we virtually just, everyone's involved all the time. When I used to, I'd have buys in the car, I'd call into the school, pick up the kids on the way home. I'd take my kids open inspections. They weren't that big of rat bags then, now I'd be a bit worried, but the simple fact is, involve them, and all of a sudden, real estate's pretty easy. Get it all together. Once again, there's just a hell of a good table of food. Those guys can cook. That's just Julie's mum, 4 generations, niece and everyone else, but they can cook like you wouldn't believe. But this is what we do. We get together, we have fun, and there's that painting once again. The kids came along. I left all the photos out of the kids making funny faces at it, but that's why we do it. We put it together as a family. We operate as a family. In the district, we're seen as very strong, family-orientated, helping the schools, helping everyone else, and we keep doing that. There's another family, another little grandson, 4 weeks old, going down to visit him in Hope Islands where he lives. Melbourne Cup Day, the oldest daughter makes all the hats. We have a big function, get clients in and everyone else, but Emily takes a bit of beating with her hats. Have a good holiday, but if you're going to buy a holiday house, once again, make sure you buy something that can be subdivided. We've got 2,000 square metres, an old house, love old houses, renovate those. Now, points of interest. You've got to have some, these are just random interesting photos I put up there. Sold this property, been on the market for 8 years. It's 8 months with another agent. Couldn't sell it. The guy wanted it sold. He paid $1.45 million for it. Paid too much. We sold it for him for $1 million. The person we sold it to is the largest builder, commercial builder in the state, 350 million turnover. What got him was this particular tree which a canoe was carved from. So this is a canoe tree property. So when I started talking to him about this property, because he didn't need to buy it, I told him about the canoe tree, told him about an idea of future development, and got him to buy it. And $1 million was a good price for it at the time, because the other guy paid too much when he bought it. Another little interesting story. What this is about, I'm trying to get salespeople to realize you've got to have interesting stories. And you look at that and think, what the hell's all that about? Now, 43 years ago, I used to climb trees. I was really good at climbing trees. And like a monkey. Anyway, I just got called to a chapter, an old family friend, and to sell their father's house. And while we're chatting away, he just happened to mention, or I mentioned about this egg collection we had all those years ago. He said, oh, that's in the cupboard somewhere. And for 43 years, it sat in a cupboard with stuff on it, and no one had touched it. No one had forgotten about it, and they just gave it back to me. So for 43 years, that sat there. Most of those are protected endangered species now. You'd never get near them, but I can still remember every tree and where it was. But it's funny how if you bring something up in a conversation, suddenly it comes back. So that's 43 years where someone never cleaned their cupboard out. That's a bit of a concern. What we do in our office, how do we get listings? We make ourselves visible. We make ourselves part of the community. We drive it hard. We get out there. The invisible man's no longer seen in real estate. You've got to be visible. You've got to be doing it. We have some special techniques for pulling stuff in. We call them ricochets. Now, ricochets are the people that miss out on buying other properties. We hold on to them very closely. When I was full pelt selling before we got into property development and everything else, I'd go to the other opposition's auctions, and the people who didn't buy would be left like a shag in a rock. They'd walk off the person that bought. I'd walk up and say, oh, gee, sorry you missed out. You're looking for a property. Funny, he'd been putting his arm up. You'd sort of suss that out. Then I'd take those two people off in my car, and I'd sell the two of them a property that afternoon. It is not that hard. The person that misses out today is ready to buy tomorrow. Finance approved. There, the opportunities that are there. You've got to chase that sort of stuff fairly hard. You've got to know that out in 5 years' time, where are your listings coming from? We're already working. We do lots of long-term work. We put stuff out years and years in the front. We do things now that may not have a comeback for 10 years. We're constantly working on that. I saw this in Tasmania. It's a chimney with a window. And you think to yourself, you know, when you're with people, we do a lot of old houses, and we just say, you ever seen a chimney with a window? No, there's a photo. Break the ice, get into there, get these photos, get them out on Facebook. I'm still thinking, why do they do it? But it's there. There's one of the nicest verandas. That's in Battery Point, Hobart. Have the good photos. Have that stuff. The iPad, if you haven't got an iPad, get the iPad, all the similar thing. When you're sitting with people, you can just go through and sit down and relate. I go to a listing presentation with people. I sit down there, and next thing you're staying for tea and you're staying for drinking and all that sort of stuff. And away it goes. I heard someone the other day say that he never drinks when he goes to a listing presentation. And I thought, shit, you'd be boring. Now, drilling rig, what's that going to do? There's some blokes out in the paddock drilling a hole. I went out and said hello, had a chat. Cut a long story short, 8 years later, I sold $3.5 million worth of real estate for them. They're 9 brothers, really interesting guys, because I stopped a car, climbed a fence and went and spoke. That is what I call prospecting. These guys drink canned VB out of a just sitting on old chairs. Every one of them's a multi-millionaire. There's no peer group pressure. They don't care about anything. They build their own drilling rigs. Massively clever guys when it comes to drilling. Know what they're doing. And simply because I went and had a chat to them by climbing a fence, I was the person that got to know them a bit more. I'm currently negotiating with one of the brothers who doesn't really want to sell for a piece of land that'll eventually be worth about 6 or 8 million if we get it rezoned. So it is just climb the fence and have a chat. These guys are interesting. One of them I invited to come with me. I had to go over to the West Coast of Australia, give a talk to stop farmers committing suicide. And I went over there, and when I saw how bad the country was, I got up, and it was a lovely oyster bay where we were going to. And unfortunately, the sheep farmer, they didn't like the oyster farmers, a bit of conflict, so they had the talk way out in the scrub, and there was nothing out there. And we had the Minister of Agriculture and all these other people there, the head of farming, and I just got up and told them, honestly, if I lived here, I'd kill myself. This is the worst shit land I've ever seen in my life. Don't blame yourself, though. Blame your grandfather. Look, it was pretty bad when the market was tough. You can't beat around the bush. There was people... in the room thinking about killing themselves. And there's no good saying, it's all right, it'll come good. It won't come good at shit land, it'll always be shit land. And the simple fact is, their grandfather bought the wrong land in the wrong spot. There's out near Cow, you'd know what it's like. Yeah, it rained there last year. So, anyway, what I said to him, before you do it, if you're going to do it neat, but clean your shed up, get your finances in order, don't accept personal responsibility, because your grandfather walked past Balaclava, walked past half of the good country and settled over here. He must have been bloody dopey. So that actually took a bit of pressure off. I said, clean your shed up, clean that, sell a couple of your blocks off, get your finances in order, so when you leave, then go and do yourself in if that's what you want to do. 2 people actually rang me to thank me, because that was enough to stop their husbands from killing themselves. Because once you get busy, you clean up, you do a bit of stuff, then that's enough to realise it's not their fault. Don't take all the responsibility on themselves. And I did that a couple of times, went over there and did that, but they had a psychologist speak, and halfway through his talk, I was starting to think about bloody killing myself. Because, these blokes, back to the story, I got sidetracked. Mike Walsh was with me, and we're there. We're going to the pub to buy something to drink, and they were all out of cappuccinos. We decided to have beer. So, and I just said, I'll buy a slab of VB. And he looks at me, and all he ever drinks VB. Every time we go to VB, out of cans. And he said, do you drink that shit? And I said, no, not really. I thought you liked it. I don't like it. And he said, I just get it, drink it, my brothers like it. And I've asked all the brothers. Turns out I don't think any of them like it. They all thought the other brothers did. And they're so polite, they just basically keep drinking the stuff. Okay, things change. Now, in the real estate world, things change. This is what a tenant brings to you and says, look, I've got a little puppy. It's, not going to do much. That's Zilla. Look at my Facebook page. You'll see Zilla. There's Zilla now, 62 Great Dane, 62 kilos. That's what happens to a tenant. This little fluffy ball thing turns into a Rottweiler or a Great Dane. That's Cedric, our camel. And every year we bring out a big Christmas tree, and Fiona and Hayley, and we bring out a big Christmas tree. We do all that. We put presents under there for the kids. There's nothing in there because I don't want to turn them into capitalists. And that's a big paper masher. We get so much conversation about that camel. And people come in. Now, because it's an old school, we still have blackboards, still have everything else. Have I run out of time yet, Melanie? Oh, hell, I've got plenty of time. So, anyway, we get all the school kids and everything else in. We come in, I tell them the story of Christmas, which is a completely different story to the one they've been told. And they like mine a lot better. But we've got the blackboards, we've got the ink pots, we've got everything else happening. And it's just a really good, fun thing to do. Now, what... I suppose I better leave you some serious note or something to do that's going to help you in real estate. Okay, one of the things you've got to do is when you got to go into a listing, you've got to have what I always call basically a Mad Hatter, a Peruvian daffodil, or how to carry a duck. You've got to have some interesting little story. And the Mad Hatter, everyone knows the Mad Hatter story. It's been around for a long time now, but you're there and you're talking about it, and you've got little kids in the house. And I always talk to little kids because they relate to me. And I just say, someone will say, oh, it's Alice in Wonderland, it's the Mad Hatter. And you say, do you know why the Mad Hatter, why they call him the Mad Hatter? Why didn't they just call him the, limping Hatter or whatever? But the simple fact is, it's a true story. The Mad Hatter, the hatters in England used to make the hats using a chemical mercury to treat that. And what that did, that used to slowly turn you insane. And when a hatter would be walking down the street, he'd be shaking like this. He'd be carrying on like this because it actually eventually killed him, but it did turn him mad because they used mercury in the process. And the other simple one about carrying the duck, and you bring that up with people, especially in the country, it's simple. When you get a duck, you've got to pick it up, and you put its head under your arm like that, and that's the only way you can carry a duck. And the main reason for that is whenever you pick a duck up, it has this urge, it's going to fly, and to make itself fly, it drops ballast, so it shits everywhere. Otherwise, you get shit all down the front of your shirt. So always put a duck, Tony, remember this, in your poultry days, put it under your arm, and then it shoots in the other direction. You've got to remember those things. Now, any questions on real estate? Come on, liven up. I got all the... What's that? What daffodil was that? Oh, it's actually Peruvian fisherman. I lisped. The Peruvian fisherman, what it was is, which country in the world catches most fish? And everyone says Japan, Oslo, Sweden, but it's actually Peru, because Peru has got massive anchovy actual fishing things, so they catch the most number of fish. Just a little thing like that. There. I haven't got a daffodil story, but I'll work on it for next time. I haven't got a banana story. Okay, doke. That's all. I can finish off. Someone come up here. Unless you want. I don't think I've got any more photos. That's it.